Hi, welcome to Pages and Pages. Today I'm going to be doing the poetry tag as tagged by Acacia, and today is the 21st, so it's supposed to be Poem in Your Pocket Day, and I thought it would be just a good day to do the poetry tag and talk about some poetry, you know? It's also a great day to wear your hair in a ponytail like this. So if you're not doing that, what are you doing with your life? I'm just kidding. Your hair looks great. So the first question is, do you like to read poetry? Yes. The second question is, who is your favorite poet? T.S. Eliot or Dante? There are so many good ones. There are so many good poets, guys. I think what I appreciate is that each poet can express themselves differently and poetry still suits them, and it is beautiful. Question number 3 is, what is your favorite book of poetry? If we're just going to go by how it looks, I'm going to do the Barnes & Noble poetry collection anthology because it's gorgeous and I love it for its looks. If we're talking about the content though, rather than just the outsides, because that anthology has a lot of good poetry in it, a lot of classics that kind of touches on these are the poems you should probably have heard about, you know? But if we're talking about poems that resonate with your soul and that you continue to think about long after you've read them, oh man, there's so many But I'm gonna have to go with the Divine Comedy because it has so informed the way that I think about life and the universe, all of them. If we're just gonna choose one of the cantos though, we're gonna go with Paradiso. Question number 4, is there a specific style of poetry that you prefer? I really love the epic poets. I think they rock and I love them. So let's read some Homer. Let's read the Fairy Queen. Those are just mind-blowingly beautiful. And then you get into Shakespeare and Milton. So good. So I really love the epic poets. That said, T.S. Eliot, not an epic poet in the slightest. It's way metaphysical and out there and you're like, what is happening in here? I also really like Wordsworth. Not great at answering favorite questions about poetry because each one is so different and awesome. Question number 5, do you write poetry? I try to write poetry. I really enjoy writing sonnets. I like the closed form. I like having to count my syllables, and I like having to have a rhyme scheme. It kind of is a puzzle for me, which I do enjoy. If you want to read some of my poetry, you can go check out my Tumblr where I've been writing a poem every day of this month, so you can check that out. I'll put the link in the description for you. Question number 6, have you ever attended a poetry reading? Guys, I got to do one of the coolest things ever. I got to go to a poetry reading where we read the entirety of the Odyssey out loud, consecutively, just in a continual. It took us 7 hours. That was an amazing experience. Reading epic poems together is so good. Just so good. That's a kind of poetry reading. Question number 7 is, will you be participating in Poem in Your Pocket Day on April 21st? Today is April 21st. I'm filming this on the 21st, so I don't actually have a poem in my pocket, but I can think of the one I would carry around with me if I was going to, so I'm gonna read you that actually, if that's okay. This is one of my favorite poems of all time. This poem is from T.S. Eliot's 4 quartets. It is part of Little Gidding. It is movement number 4, and it goes like this. The dove descending breaks the air with flame of incandescent terror, of which the tongues declare one discharged from sin and error. The only hope, or else despair, lies in the choice of pyre or pyre, to be redeemed from fire by fire. Who then devised this torment? Love. Love is the unfamiliar name behind the hands that wove the intolerable shirt of flame which human power cannot remove. We only live, only suspire, consumed by either fire or fire. I love that poem so much. It gets stuck in my head. Question number 8 is, why do you think poetry is important? Let me give you my pet theory on why poetry is so important. First, a little context. The first context is Cicero's The Dream of Scipio. C-I-P-I-O. This is the origin of the music of the spheres, if you've ever heard of that phrase, which then gets echoed into Dante. The way that the creation account is laid out in the Silmarillion of Tolkien is very similar to the Timaeus, which is a Plato dialogue, which talks about Atlantis too, so that's really interesting. Because this concept of the music of the spheres comes out in that again, and you get this idea of like creation and life force being sung into being. So my idea about poetry is that originally your soul's native language, if you will, is music, is song. And so I think poetry, in a way, more than prose, it has the power to convey deeper truths. So I love it when authors use very poetical language because it speaks to my soul in a way, you know? That wasn't very succinct, but I think poetry is important because I believe that poetry is the music of the soul and the soul's way of communicating true things about reality. Some questions for you though, lovely watcher. What poems do you really enjoy? What poets do you love reading? And why do you think poetry is important? Let me know down in the comments. Let's have a conversation about it. I'm going to leave you in the meantime with my favorite Wordsworth poem. The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, are all upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not. Great God, I'd rather be a pagan suckled in a creed outworn. So might I, standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn. Have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn. So that is a Wordsworth poem that I really love, just one of his sonnets. It just really speaks to me. So, thank you for watching, have a lovely day, and leave me a poem down in the comments. How cool would that be? Let's all put a poem down there. That'd be neat. Okay, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.